Hi guys, so it's Friday, which means we actually get some on-track action. So I've just finished watching First Practice 2. First Practice, Free Practice 2. First Practice, that wouldn't make any sense. Anyway, Free Practice 2 from there. So we got Free Practice 2 and I watched Free Practice 1 earlier on in the day. So I'm just going to give you some quick thoughts on what I thought, what the results are from those practice sessions and what we can probably take from the weekend. So I'm just going to put on screen here. So as you can see in the first session, Gasly was fastest, followed by Bottas, and then Verstappen was third fastest in the session as well. I have to bear in mind the Bottas time was set on the medium compound and Gasly's one was set on the soft compound, which I think is probably going to be the main two compounds used by the teams this weekend. I can't imagine maybe a couple of the guys at the back of the field might try and do a long stint on the hard compound, but it didn't seem to be favoured by any of the teams really in the practice sessions. So yeah, Gasly was quickest, but you can't really begrudge him. He's had so much bad luck. He's been so off the pace recently, and so all season really from Verstappen, that it's probably good for his confidence that he managed to finish on top in a practice session, even if it was obviously on the quicker tyre to the Mercedes. But he did carry that form into FP2 actually as well, so he looks like he has had a good weekend here. So overall, you can't really take too much in terms of where standings were in FP1 and how it's going to translate into stuff like qualifying in the race. Or we can look a little bit, it's maybe more at the kind of funnier things in the session, and it started off very early. Obviously haven't spoken about it, but Haas have had, well, wouldn't necessarily be Haas. I think Haas have been very professional throughout it as far as they're concerned. Is they have a contract with Rich Energy as their main sponsor, and that is still in place. There are no performance clauses in that contract, so therefore it was still sporting the livery of Rich Energy this weekend, so that's not an issue. The kind of circus act from Rich Energy with their Twitter accounts of should I stay or should I go now type of sponsorship deal with the team seems to almost be a bypass. As far as they're concerned, the contract's in place and it will remain in place. But yes, they probably needed a good performance going into the weekend, and Romain Grosjean early on into the session spun on the exit of the pit lane, took out his front wing, and then rather comically had to drive round a whole lap just to get back into the pit for a new nose wing, sat in there for a bit, then went back out again, and then, well, lead into it, spun out on Brooklands on his lap, so he still hadn't recorded a time. So poor old Grosjean wasn't really having the best of time of it, and he hasn't really had the best of time of it all season. I think this is his worst start to a season ever in his career, so not too great. Maybe he was listening to the video yesterday, and there was a bit of a miscommunication in translation there when obviously me and Ash both predicted for him to crash out in the race first. He decided he would take that upon himself and crash first out in practice. Poor Romain Grosjean. Also quite funny, I'll put a picture of it up on the screen here. Kimi Räikkönen had an engine that sounded very ill. I think it was a power unit problem. It was said in the end where it just kind of splurted and coughed as he went round and kind of died on the track. And yeah, the picture there is of Kimi being pushed by the marshals back. He was pointing off, going where to go. He just looks a little bit like royalty, Royal Kimi on the track. But yeah, no, quite a funny thing to see there. I think main thing to see was obviously mentioned that the tarmac might be an issue of the relaying of the surface going into the weekend. It probably won't become the race, but a lot of people were struggling at Brooklands. There was a lot of drivers who went off. Norris, Albon, Grosjean, like I said, through there. Bottas struggled in one of them, but because the Mercedes has that superior downforce, he was able to recover that. So that went okay. He was managed to not spin out as badly as the other cars thing. So that's probably a good roundup of FP1. FP2, Bottas was quickest, Lewis was second quickest, and Leclerc was third quickest after the qualifying sims. Verstappen seemed to struggle a little bit on the qualifying sims there, and Gasly, like I said, performed well. He was fifth quickest in this session. Put up the times here for you guys to look at, so you can see what the difference is between the drivers. Then on the qualifying place, McLaren again looked strong. Albon actually looked very strong as well, and the Toro Rosso looks like it might be quite good this weekend. And after Ricciardo saying earlier in the week feels it was kind of like a fundamental issue with the Renault car, and then saying that it was just kind of a misdirection in the kind of strategy and setup in Austria that was the cause. It doesn't look, I think both were 14th and 15th in FP2. I mean, might be completely different tomorrow, but it didn't necessarily look like it was boding too well. For the race, the average kind of time set by the Mercedes and Hamilton and Bottas on the medium compound, Hamilton was vastly superior pace-wise here, and he looks very strong. Like our predictions, looks very strong ahead for this weekend ahead to make it that record 6th win at Silverstone and to be the most successful driver ever of all time there, which probably very fitting for the British driver. What else have I got down here? Ricciardo had maybe an electronics issue. His car, basically, he was going through Maggots and Beckett's section, and his car literally just died. It just went dead, which something like it had almost like a fail-safe on the engine, just cut dead to see if there was a major issue. So he had to retire 15 minutes from the end in this session, but it was all right. Like I said, they'd already done qualifying sim by that stage, so his relative pace was still slow to where it was. Yeah, there was still a little bit of struggles in Brooklands. Leclerc went off in this session as well. Nothing. The Alfa Romeo didn't necessarily look too good pace-wise. From there, Sergio Perez managed to split the Toro Rossos in terms of qualifying times, with Albon up there. Perez splitting them, and then Kvyat in between there. So that was... so maybe Racing Point might do quite well this weekend, but yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, it's hard to take from free practice anything, because drivers can put in great times and things can happen, get blocked, held up, as we've seen a few times this season in qualifying, and race pace, strategies, safety cars, they all play into it. But it's probably good having a look at how things are. But I think early signs are that Mercedes 1-2 is very good on the cards. So, guys, thank you for watching. I will be back tomorrow with a video straight after qualifying, having a look at who's on pole, who's there, and what we think is going to happen for the race. Anyway, put a thumbs up if you like the video, subscribe if you like the content that we're putting out. I know 2 videos is maybe a little low to kind of get a big thing, but they're going to keep coming, so subscribe if you want to stay tuned to there. Comment if you want to get involved, if you have any thoughts on practice. We'd love to hear you from there, and you can follow us on Twitter F1 Fanatics. I'll put it in the description below. But thanks for watching. Cheers, guys. Have a good day.